It is time. Memorial Day is here, or almost here. We'll talk about strategies in dealing with Memorial Day freight and the holiday. And let's talk a little bit about depression as well. Stay tuned. Fast forward about a minute. Oh, I forgot to let it fade. Good morning. Hope all is well. What an abrupt end. Like, you ever, like, it reminds me of like you're driving down the road and like your music's just like dun 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 dun, dun. You're just like dun 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 dun. You're just like you're in the zone, and then all of a sudden your GPS goes turn right here. You're like, dude, you ruined the mojo. You ruined the mojo. Anyways, good morning. Hope all is well. Sorry if this created a volume difference in your stereo while listening. So, anyways, so it is Memorial Day weekend. That means freight's going to get funky today. So we're going to see if we can get some spiked rates here today. Now, I have to apologize to everybody because I should have done this video on Wednesday. I should have done this is what you need to do for this weekend, but it may not be. Maybe you're like a last minute booker, and we may be able to save you yet, right? Holidays are always tricky, but the positive is this holiday is on a Monday. It's not like Christmas or New Year's, or something that's in the middle of the week that kind of throws everything off. This is a Monday, so Monday makes it a little bit easier to manage. But also, one of the things that you have to keep in mind as well is that freight theft goes up through the roof on this weekend as well. So we got to be aware of that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And StreamYard has this new feature where I can put the chat up in the screen there, which is kind of neat. Now I feel like this professional dude or whatever. Just kidding. I don't feel professional at all. I'm just a long-haired dude with a microphone that knows a couple of things and knows plenty about nothing. So let's get to it. We're going to talk about, so let's go over strategies. First, get your coffee. This is This is also called the pre-trip for some drivers. This is I'm doing my pre-trip, and then you sit in the front seat. You click on duty on your log, and you just go, I'm pre-tripping. Some of you are doing that. Come on now. Some of you are probably doing that. So don't do that. Go out and look at the truck and stuff. Look at that stuff. Make sure that the DOT does not get any of your money. Make sure that the government doesn't get any of your money and make you lose your load because you got put out of service. Imagine like you're on the load board and you grab this load that pays $5,000 for 600 miles. And you're like, yeah, I'm kicking butt. And then in your 30-mile deadhead, because you kick that much butt, you go up there and then pull around, driver. And then you get put out of service and you miss that $5,000 load because you didn't do your pre-trip. Don't do that, because that kind of sucks. That's kind of a lame thing. That's kind of a lame way to start a load, right? So, welcome back home, cheesecake. Dude. Hey, I heard a rumor, welcome back, that you are see, I don't have to highlight the things anymore. I heard a rumor that you've gotten over your Dorito and Mountain Dew addictions. Anyways, I will still highlight, because you guys like that, right? Desert Okie Pam, good morning. I hope all is well. I got your text yesterday. Duly noted. Scott, what's up? Good morning to all the elderly. Why just the elderly? Why can't you say good morning to like the youngins? Huh, Scott? Are you anti-youngin? But good morning to you. Now, I don't know how old you are, but is it good morning to all the fellow elderly? Like your compatriots? Boulder Woods, what's up? Good morning with the horns. Jose, good morning from Orlando, of course. SST, what's up? Mrs. A says, hit the like. Insert Metallica guitar riff there. Now, if you're not a Metallica fan, you have no idea what she's talking about. But Metallica has a song called Hit the Lights. And maybe someone should make a version that says hit the like. Dun, 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 hit the like. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? If only I knew how to play guitar. Desert Oak and Pam, only desert I know of in Oklahoma is a little Shara. Oh, well, I mean, when you claim Oklahoma and Arizona as your homelands, that's what happens, right? Welcome back. CBSA Blitz. Good morning, Steve from Slidell, Louisiana. It's been a minute since I've been there. You're either hauling finished paper or recycled paper. Is that what you're doing there? Quick hit. Good morning. Or pallets or mulch. I think the first time I was in Slidell, Louisiana, I was picking up mulch. And the lovely gal that was running the scale, I couldn't understand a word she said because she was Cajun, like deep, thick Cajun. I was like, you might as well be speaking Japanese. I had zero clue what she was saying. And it became a barrier, language barrier. In order to keep BOT away, I ride on my trailer. I know Snorelord. Dude, that's like putting a placard on your trailer, Scott. You don't want to do that. You want to say, because, here's what's going to happen, right? So DOT sees the back of your trailer. He's like, what the heck's a Snorelord? I'm going to pull this guy in. He might be on drugs. See? So it's like putting a placard on your trailer. It makes you a target. So don't do that. Scott says, yes, I am anti-young whippersnappers. I'm still mad at Metallica Napster. Man, okay, so we're going to get off trucking for a second here, SSD. But they were right. This is an unpopular opinion, because shortly after that's when MP3 pirating craze went through the roof and everybody's record sales struggled, which is why all these great record stores like Tower Records went out of business because no one was buying physical music. Because hey, and a lot of bands started putting out bad music. So like you can pick like 3 or 4 good songs off the album. So people are like, I'll just download the song. And now streaming services kind of have taken over. And what they did is that they completely changed. It completely changed because they knew the changes of the recording industry were coming in. So they were kind of ahead of the game on that. Yes, it was kind of an a-hole thing. I was a Napster addict myself. But I also utilized Napster to sell albums all across the world. I sent albums to Spain, Portugal, England, France, and I think I might have even sent one to Russia. I don't know. So yeah. So, but I was not that guy that was stomping on his albums, making a video of stomping on the Master Puppets album, in the street. I wasn't that guy. I was just like, dang it, something good changed, as most good things do. I turned 60 last month, so I've learned to scream off my grass. Yes, I am there too. I'm not 60, but I do scream, get off my grass. I'm recovering a truck for advanced trucking that a driver abandoned, so I became a nice guy to get it. Well, good deal. Getting an abandoned truck is not always a fun game, right? I haven't had to do that yet. We've got a pretty good team here, so we haven't had to do that yet. But, yeah, you never know. Life happens. Sometimes people abandon equipment for good reasons. So, Shannon says, good morning. Shan and Thomas Trucking. Good morning, everyone. With her AI self. Cascade, what's up? We will have a conversation today. Just don't call me like 3 seconds after this live feed's done, but I'll get to you today. I promise. David Evers, good morning. How are you? You an eyebrowless self. Randy, good morning from Merrill, Wisconsin. It's cold. Dude, you're from Florida. Everything's cold. Everything's cold to you. My name is Nobody. Good morning. Yes, Russia. Okay. Yes. Also because millions of people owe Columbia Records tons of money. Yes. Heading to Michigan to go home for the weekend. Good deal. You're a big time artist? No, I'm not. Look, Godzilla's my witness here. See, there's Godzilla. He's hanging out. I am not like some bands become like platinum or gold. We became dirt. that's the level of record sales that we had was dirt. Freight X Media, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a minute. Hey now, he says. Did I read a thumbnail right that you've got some things going on with Sirius XM? Is that true? David Evers says, "What? Doing well, praying hard, and I like this mild, spicy Snorelord version." I don't know, man. I'm kind of amped up today. I was depressed about 10 minutes ago, but a great conversation with my wife got me through that. Look, and I began the video talking about depression. Look, here's the thing. If you're going through a hard time, one of the I think epidemics in trucking, I mean it's with the whole country, but let's just focus on trucking because this is a trucking channel, okay? I used to deal with depression on the road. When you're sitting there in this box, okay? And look, I loved trucking. I enjoyed seeing the places that I was seeing. And that solitude was sometimes so beautiful. But then sometimes that solitude worked against you. And your mind can go to dark places. You don't eat right, you don't sleep right, and that compounds the depression. You get treated like a second class citizen when you're at the shippers, when you're at the receivers. When you show up with, you could do this 2,000-mile run and you went through hell and high water to get to that place. And you have this sense of accomplishment only for it to be shattered by the guy at the window going, we don't want this product, or wait your turn. Don't knock on the window. And and you have a conversation with someone on the phone that's out there living their life, and it eats at you. Depression eats at you. And if you don't show depression who's boss, it will take everything away from you. Get some help. And for me, what snapped me out of it was I had to have a heart of gratitude. I had to develop a heart of gratitude. Thank you for the sunrise. Thank you for the truck being okay. Thank you for this truck stop I was able to park at last night. Little things like that. And my pre-trip was actually a ritual of gratitude. And when I started to eat better, I was able to get able to take that depression monster and punch it in the face and strangle it. Because living in this box with that engine roaring all the time, it wears on you. You become almost narcissistic, right? It's all about me. It's all about me. Look at these cars almost hit me. I'm saving their life. This country would not run without me, right? And pretty soon you have trouble connecting with people. And you isolate yourself. And that's where the devil works, man, is in isolation. And I'll give you a perfect example. I knew that like one of the worst aspects about night driving is that there's nothing to look at. And so it's just you and your thoughts, right? Especially if you're going across, I-40, or I-20 out west, and, or, I-10, I-17, that kind of thing. And I remember one of the best things that ever happened to me happened after one of the worst things that ever happened to me. My truck caught on fire. Luckily I escaped and was able to save the truck thanks to a friendly guy that had his fire extinguisher ready. And Pale Rider, he knew that I was messed up. He knew that I was going to dwell on this stuff, and I had to go from Gallup, New Mexico to Phoenix, Arizona. And I was starting off at like 2 a.m, and I knew that my mind was going to wander. And I told, and he's like, dude, I'll call you. Once you get a signal, man, call me. And we chatted. Once I started rolling, we chatted, and we were on the phone for 4 hours. The headset thing is such a great thing to have. And so, yeah, I was isolated in this box, but I reached out to a community. And Pale Rider, and I'll never forget that, because he helped me through what would have been a dark time. Now, by the time, the sun rose and we were off the phone, now I could enjoy the scenery, because I used to live out in Phoenix, so it was cool to see my homeland, so to speak, for a minute. And then I visited my sister, I think, on that trip, and it was just, it turned into so many blessings, but man, there was a hardship that had to be endured first. And so this depression can make you hit rock bottom, but then once you can address it, you can rise, man. You can rise from that. And you have to fall down before, to learn how to get yourself up. And so if you're dealing with depression on the road, reach out to somebody, reach out to a friend, reach out to family. Don't isolate yourself and don't be aggressive towards other people. Deal with that. Clean up your diet. That was a huge, huge help for me. Because you guys can look at my weight loss, and I'm telling you with every fiber of my being that clean up my diet was one of the biggest contributors besides my faith, next to my faith, that changed my depression. Do I still get sad every now and then? Yes. But man, I deal with it so, so much better. And so, all right. So I just obliterated David Edwards' mild spicy Snorelord version. So there you go. But get some help, okay? Freight says yes, he is on SiriusXM. Awesome. Is this the Fright Report or Freight Report? Did I spell freight wrong? I hope not. It's cold in Michigan too. Someone's going to be cold glamping this weekend. Too much coffee. Yes, too much coffee. I'm going to be doing a show once a week with another guy. Well, if you want to put the link up, no, you don't have the wrench on this one. Let's see. Cascade said no one ever. So I completely agree. You only got what's put in. Yeah. You only get out what is put in. Snorelord in chat. Good morning. Grind to pray. Sorry. Happy pre-Memorial Day. Yes, very good. Mine says everything having a happy life in trucking. Every day is a great adventure, an opportunity to meet and bless others, even if it's just with a kindness and a smile and an AI avatar. That is true. Food. Eat good food. It's key to mental health. Yes, it is. Facts. Great. Be grateful. Enjoy the little things. Scott loves roller dogs. Improve depression. You'll be too busy running to the bathroom to be depressed. After the bottom, the only way is up. That is true. Let's see. Randy says it's 36 degrees. It's cold. Is it really 36 degrees up there? That's lame. I guess the cold front moved through. That's what caused all the whippersnapper storms, But anyways, all right. So let's take a look at volumes. Now we're going to cut. All right. Now we're talking about freight. A lot of shenanigans are going on, right? There's a lot of loads. For example, I have a truck that picked up a load on Monday, and it delivered picked up Tuesday, delivered yesterday, or so it seemed. And I picked up Monday, picked up Tuesday, delivered Thursday. Right. Yeah, today's Friday, right? Oh, man. It's tough. Anyways, gets the delivery, and they're like, you weren't supposed to be here until the 27th. So we call the broker. The broker's like, oops. And now the delivery's not until Tuesday, the 27th. Why? Because Monday's a holiday. There's a lot of loads that have like a 4 or 5 day transit. They're going to be hidden because of that holiday. Because I guarantee you that when I called on that load, and if it picked up on Tuesday and delivered a full week, I would not have booked that load because that's a horrible rate per day. But luckily, the rate con said the 22nd on the delivery, and so now we're getting paid for that. There's a lot of freight that's been contracted with the broker, and so it's like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of stuff, this many loads, and so a lot of that's like way ahead. And so a shipper or receiver that would normally be open on a Monday will not be. And so you might have a load that picks up Friday, delivers Monday at the receiver. Well, you want to call that receiver to verify that because Monday is a holiday. And then you call the broker, hey, and you're talking some after hours outsourced person that you can barely understand. And they'll be like, oh, no, deliver Tuesday. And now you have an extra day on that load. So there's a lot of that going on. Address with the brokers if there's a load that picks up or delivers on Monday. Address with the brokers to double check, make sure it's in writing, make sure it's on the rate con, but that's a risk you're taking. So my strategy was always run through the weekend or be under a load for the weekend. For example, if I was in Merrill, Wisconsin, where we're hanging out with Randy and listening to him complain about the cold. If I was in Merrill, Wisconsin, and I wanted to go home, just know that I would get a load towards the house or then went through the house. That way I can be under a load, still make some money. Now, am I getting my daily rate technically as it's in my trailer? No. But I'll get a 34 and I get home time and I still get paid for that load. That was always the strategy with me. If you are out on the road and you're one of these people that stays out weeks at a time, grab a long load for that weekend. That way the holiday doesn't even mess with you. Pick up something that goes, maybe 1,800 miles. It picks up Friday, delivers Tuesday. And you got a pretty easy day to drive. Well, that's the other thing about Memorial Day is that it's one of the most traveled weekends on the interstates. And so you have a lot of people that normally don't ride the interstate. So you have a lot of quote unquote inexperienced people on the interstate. And so traffic gets kind of weird. It gets a little bit more aggressive. It gets a little bit more congested. And so just kind of keep that in mind. And so there's different strategies. And what we're going to find, we're going to look at the load boards here because I know that's why you guys are here because you absolutely love that, right? You're going to see a lot of extra transit days. So your rate per day is going to be a little bit different now. Now, the good news is usually, don't quote me on this, but usually you'll see an elevated rate. A load that might pay $1,000 is now paying $1,200 easily because they know you got to sit on it for another day. But there's also a lot of customers that kind of like, we'll just ship it on Tuesday if we can't find a truck today. And so we're going to look at volumes. We're going to look at, where's everything going? And, yep. So just kind of deal, right? We'll wheel and deal. David said, been at the receiver 60 hours, really want to get rolling. That's frustrating. Man, where are you at that 16 hours, dude? A crappy $250 a day money is losing deal, right? That's not what we're getting for the layover, though. But we got our daily rate that was like, cool. Because the broker, quote unquote, was at fault, right? Because our Raycon says what it needed to say, but when this driver got to the receiver, they're like, what are you doing here and why? You weren't supposed to be here till Tuesday. You're going to screw everything up. And so I gave the broker a rate and they're paying it. Scott says my load delivers tomorrow at Tar Heel, North Carolina. Saturdays are safe, But if you need to call a broker and try to grab a load, you've got a small window of opportunity, basically from 6 to noon, because a lot of brokers, have bankers hours. Unless there's something that they desperately need to move, they've got a person on call with their email to their personal phone or whatever. We'll find out today if I reload out of the same place. That would make it easier, right? Traffic sucks Memorial Day weekend. You're right, Cascade. Scott says will be a lot of peon. The small roads going to cemeteries. Yeah, the small roads are definitely going to be flooded too. Good morning, Red Lady. How are you doing? Thank you for your membership. Dagnab redheaded have cost me 3 houses. Ah, yes. We all have our vices, Scott. We all have our vices. All right, so let's get the screen on here. Let's see. Share screen. And a lot of people kind of consider this the beginning of the summer. And usually freight's pretty banging after this. And we'll take a look. This is the 123 low board. 48065 is my code if you want to try out for 30 days for free. Don't take my word for it. Okay. But I also use the DAT board. I don't, someone asked me the other day if I use truck stop. No. I've tried. I had a friend that tried. I've had a couple of people try to share their passwords with me, and their security is pretty good. They're like, oh no, we can't let this. So it screwed everything up. So it's not worth it. If I had a full-time flatbed truck that I was dispatching, I might consider it. But I already pay for low board, and plus all the broker low boards that I work with, it works just fine for me. I use 123, and I also use DAT. So, but 123 is the one I promote. I do use it every single day. A lot of times I'm using it for the market rate tool, which is like right here. I got Stryker, Ohio to Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was something I was looking at. And these numbers have been fairly accurate. The kind of number accuracy that you only get from DAT from the higher end subscription plans. And so it's been, and I got the toll cost right there in front of me. I've got the fuel right there in front of me. And and I can look at the history, see how volatile it is. Like, look at this lane. This lane has been as low as 1,200 and been as high as 2,100. Right now it's sitting around 15 to 17. So, little things like that. Because you don't want to be that guy like, I put a good load paying $1,000 going from Ohio to Oklahoma. That rate per day might work for you, but look how much money you've left on the table by not knowing what the average lanes are. Okay. And the broker loves you if you do that. So, but I also check DAT for volumes. Let's refresh this. So, Van, Friday volumes have always been kind of substantially lower, especially in the weekend of a holiday. But we still got a lot of outbound in Alabama, Arkansas, and this outbound in California is getting lower and lower. And hopefully that when you see this number go up, that's when things are going to be really good for all of us. That's kind of, California is a canary in the coal mine sometimes. Let's see what else. Florida outbound volumes are still higher than inbound. 1154 coming out. Georgia, we're not in the 3,000s anymore, but we're still at 2,300 with only 774 loads coming in. You should be at least getting $2 a mile, regardless of where you're going, out of Georgia for the last week. 2 weeks, actually. Iowa's dead. Illinois, almost even. 776 in, 697 out. Now, even if you don't use a DAT board, these numbers are kind of important. Kentucky's kind of died down a little bit. Indiana's died down a little bit. Let's see. Northeast is dead. Michigan, 389 in, 332 out. Missouri, only 393 and 375 in. So 375 out. So what this is telling me, okay, we're a trend watcher here. What this is telling me is that volumes are going to be extremely low today. So if you're trying to book at the last minute, you're trying to cherry pick the one that the other carrier dropped off, and it needs to be picked up today. That's what you're aiming for today, because these are these are the lowest volumes I've seen in the last 2 weeks. Because I think Monday when we went over this, these were all 4-digit numbers pretty much on the main states. North Carolina is still good. Let's see. Nevada's dumb. It's not great. Let's see. Ohio, not great. Oklahoma, no good. PA, no good. South Carolina looks good. Tennessee looks good. Shannon got a killer rate out of Tennessee yesterday. Texas is even down to 2341 on the outbound. Virginia, okay. Wisconsin's at 382 outbound. So I mean, there's going to be some low volume. It'll be it was. This is why I did this video a day late, and I apologize, a couple of days late, because Wednesday is when you should have been thinking about all of your Memorial Day strategies. But some people don't have that luxury to book ahead. Now, Scott says, I only haul contract freight. Yeah, this doesn't affect you as much, but if the spot market becomes really high rates, then what happens is the carriers that have the contract freight lose their leverage a little bit, because, well, I won't say that, because a lot of trucks will jump, right? If you're a contract carrier that has nothing but owner operators, a lot of people jump. Like we see it in, we saw it at spot market in Snyder all the time. When the spot market is low, everybody jumps to Snyder. When the spot market is high, everybody jumps from Snyder to the spot market. I've seen it happen with dozens and dozens of drivers. CDN, good morning. But when the spot market is super low, man, that affects the contracts either. But when it's super high, then these mega carriers come in and say, we'll do it for a third less than what you're paying in the spot market, and boom, now all of a sudden those loads are gone. So, but CDN, we should have a conversation today as well. I know that that's long overdue. I don't know how busy you are, but things, I don't know how busy I'll be either, but anyways, but I do use the tools. And then I also check the hot market map here. And this is a great way, like, okay, what's the freight doing in a certain state? And so let's go to Georgia. Actually, wow, look at Colorado be green. Let's take a look at that. 70 cents a mile to go to California. Yeah, that's great. That's not even, I don't know. No, we're not even, yeah. That's just, oh man. 2,700 to go to Pennsylvania. $1.63 a mile, $2,700. A couple of those. A bunch of those actually. $1.47 to go to Sacramento, PA. So yeah, just because it's a green state doesn't mean that it equates to great rates. So let's do this by highest rate per mile, because we want to do short stuff out of Colorado, not the long haul stuff. Like here, Denver to Gering, Nebraska, they're at 539, odd number. Fridays, I always see an uptick in odd numbers. Ghost Cat says, how much do carriers charge shippers to rent trailers and contract freight? That's a great question that I do not have an answer to. But I do know that's a thing because at Schneider, we always had to deal with the OCs being full of loaded trailers because Walmart would order a bunch of stuff to prevent the Christmas spikes and then store it in Schneider trailers. And then, I used to do a lot of drop and hook in Bentonville, Walmart, when I was at Schneider, and it would show 10 empties there, and they were all full of pallets. And so I was quick to make sure that we'll not release trailer, because then what it does, it makes Schneider go, hey, Walmart, how come you have 15 of our trailers full of pallets for storage when they don't have any pallet loads? So, and then Schneider will punch them in the face, and they have a battle royale to get some money for using their trailers for storage. Now, CDN says something that I'm going to fully agree with here. The key to spot market in 2025, deepen your relationships with your top 5 to 8 brokers to ensure you get access to spot market loads not posted on a public load board. That is 100% true. 100% true. Colorado's green, then we can get $1.75. It's true. I mean, here's well, if you want to go to Idaho, here's 203 a mile. Picks up Tuesday, delivers Thursday. But then, there's zilch here in Idaho. Idaho's not a great place for a van. $1.92 to go to Rapid City, South Dakota. Billings, Montana. Obviously, this is where the higher paying loads are going to go, is in even worse places. But then this one, Rifle to Seneca, Kansas. $1.65 a mile, $1,100 for day and a half drive. A bunch of stuff going to PA. $1.57 to go to Salt Lake. I don't know about that. North Dakota, here's Cascades load. Fort Collins to Bismarck. If he had a van, but he doesn't. And then now we're into the $1.32s. These are empty cans coming out of Golden, Colorado, Albany, Georgia. They're at so I mean, look, Colorado may be green, but doesn't mean you need to run to it. Let's go to Georgia, where it is worth running to. You pay $200 for a month for trailer use. Steve, text when you have to talk. Okay, we'll do. Relationships are where the money is made. Just ask my first ex-wife. Oh, dude. So I had a phone call, but I had a shorty that showed up early gave me the doc, said we may or may not unload you yesterday. Wow. Hopefully your company's good at paying you layover detention rate. Because I found as a company driver, I struggled to get detention and layover as just as much as from any broker. All right, let's do the highest rate per mile on Georgia. Most of it's going to go northeast or southeast Florida. Let's go into these $1,000. Here we go. Valdosta to Sarasota, $4.14 a mile. $4.04 a mile to go. Oh, look at this one. Dude, Macon, Georgia, and then North Charleston, South Carolina. Does that pick up today? Yep, picks up today. I bet you it delivers Tuesday, so you're only doing 272 miles. But if you live in South Carolina and you want some time off, boom, there you go. Palletized paper. I can't even say that right. palletized. Jeez. Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. There's going to be elevator. There should we all know how much I hate that word. Um, there's going to be some elevated rates today. Here's another one. Commerce, Georgia, and then North Charleston, South Carolina. Probably the same load. Here's another good lane that I've found here recently. Georgia to Virginia. 340 a mile on this one. 441 miles, $1,500. But again, probably picks up today. A lot of last minute stuff today on this one. Here's Port Wentworth, Manassas, Virginia, $1,800. Picks up today. A lot of stuff for today. So if you haven't booked your load yet, you might be able to get something good. But as I stated before, it's all going to Florida. Nothing northeast yet, except for nothing northeast yet. Look at all that. Let's do the highest rate. Let's see where all the long haul stuff's going. Here we go. Go visit our Canadian friends there, Calgary. $5,000 to go up there. $1.55 to go to Washington. Not quite high enough. $1.73 to Oregon. Of course, $1.32 to California. California is dead in van. Here we go. Here's $2.98, almost $3 a mile to go to Connecticut. Let's see what the cost is on this load. Picks up Tuesday, delivers Thursday. $158 in tolls, pretty much. And then on top of the Connecticut road tax, whatever deal. So let's see. $1.83 New Mexico. No, this is not a good load. 75,000 pounds. Definitely not a good load. I gotta love it. They're definitely dropping the rates as we get past the 27th. I'm seeing that. Grovetown to Union, Maine, $1.79 a mile. If this is what I think it is, yeah, this is John Deere. You can get a better rate than this on this load. Trust me on this. And you want that because you're going to be on this an extra day. And they're saying max rate. So they're telling you right away, they're setting the anchor and they're saying there is no negotiation on this. The kitten over there is going nuts. Probably breaking stuff. Because look, here's the deal with the John Deere runs, okay? And multiple brokers have them, but what I have found is that if it's going to like the Dakotas or Minnesota or something like that, you get a little bit more. But if the Georgia market is hot, then a lot of people bypass these multiple stop runs. And so the brokers that have these John Deere runs, they're forced to give more money to attract the people from the one and dones that pay a little bit more. Why would I do a multi-stop run for $1.89 a mile when I'm getting $2.25 to just a straight load up to Michigan or something? And that's one of the challenges of being a broker is you got to you got to take all those things into account. Here, let's. Okay, let me. We can judge the market getting loose based on frequency that Steve goes live. That's good. That's a good marker. So that means Snorelord is getting $11 a mile then, right? Take that Florida freight loading today. Stop, hang out at the beach, deliver Tuesday, but then it will be a struggle getting out Tuesday or come to Alberta for a visit, right? Yeah, I'd like to come visit you. Why has Michigan been late with freight, do you think? Well, the whole Midwest has kind of sunk a little bit, and that's related to the tariff and the containers. Will Burner, good morning. Red Lady says hi to you. There you go. 29 people in here, only 13 likes. Hit the like button, people. Yeah, people don't like me. It's all right. I'm not well loved. Yeah, I believe Wheelburner's are you guys neighbors now, I think? Possibly. I'm in Strathmore. Strathmore. That's a neat name. They're finally on my trailer. Yay. Red Lady says good morning to you. Which is why, what Shannon brings up a good point about Michigan. That's why you can ask for more money coming out of Georgia up to the Midwest, because Midwest is not as good as it normally is, which is why they usually drive the rate down, which is why Shannon got a good rate going up to Michigan. So the best paying long haul stuff's going northeast. The best paying short haul stuff is going to Florida. I'm not seeing anything going to. Oh, here's one for the Midwest. Minnesota, $1.53 a mile. That's low, but that also doesn't pick up till next Friday, so we're not even worried about that. That rate will change if they can't cover it. A lot of Massachusetts. Oh, that load just disappeared. Here we go. Garden City, Kansas. That's Wichita area. They're $900 lower than what it normally goes for, and that's going to be a Sunday pickup. So here's what I'm talking about with strategies, right? Number one, it's super low, right? It doesn't it's and market or not, it's below my cost per day, 28%. So not good. That's only giving me $258 a day. Roll stock paper, so it's going to be heavy, which is strange because, you get a lot of roll stock paper out of Wichita. But now with it being a Sunday pickup, if it's a paper plant, then yes, more likely they're going to be open. So I would trust this as far as like, what do they actually pick up on Sunday? But I can't tell you how many times. Let's say you're driving down the road and you're trying to book a load off a low board and you're weaving and you're hitting the rumble strips and cars are flipping you off and you're like, oh, I got to book a load, and you click on that and then or you call on the load and you're like, hey man, gimme, and the broker's like, oh yeah, it picks up Sunday, no problem. And then you get the rate con, but you're driving, you're hitting the rumble strips, you're knocking cars off, because you're doing illegal things. And then you notice once you get parked 12 hours later when the broker's gone home that the rate con says it picks up Tuesday. And I know that happens because I'll have drivers call me, hey, Steve, that load, because it had to come to us first. The Raycon came to us first. They're like, that's not what I agreed with the broker with. And then you call the broker and they're like, oh yeah, my bad. Sorry. We'll take it off. not complete apology. Those kind of shenanigans are on. I've noticed are on the up and up this week. So there's there you go, right? An acceleration rule. You make a great point here. Scrap goes in, paper rolls come out. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you'd have to be aware of this load. Make sure you can read a Raycon or have somebody that can read the Raycon for you. And make sure it's a 24/7 shipper, which paper more than likely is. So I trust that. But this is not a great rate, this 2000. That might have been a rate that was agreed to with the customer and Brown Logistics, 2 months ago. But the market has changed in 2 months. And they're going to have trouble moving this at this rate unless someone needs to go directly to Wichita for some reason or another. Chief Freyhaller, good morning. I too also want to talk to you today. So, man, I got a long list of phone people I got to call today. My cousin lives there. Welcome to Alberta. You close to the mountains, Bragg, Craig. If you side by side look up Foggy Dew on YouTube to see some excellent trails to check out. There you go. Cascade says find a good lane and stay in it till it isn't good, and that's what a lot of our Georgia, Florida people have figured out. Who goes to Wichita? People that live in Wichita, dude. Come on now. You're home, so whenever it's convenient. Okay, cool deal. They got several of these for the same rate for different days, so it's probably a contracted rate. Now let's check out Michigan. Michigan's yellow here, but we're going to check it out anyways. $1.88 to go to Alabama. See, that's not. I mean, Alabama's really good right now, so technically I see what they're doing here, but this isn't until Friday, then delivers on Saturday. No, picks up Thursday, delivers Saturday next week. So don't even bother with this load. Don't even bother negotiating for this. Because if it gets closer to go time, then you'll probably get closer to this 1838 or even the 1900. Because look, Alabama might be hot now, but it may not be next week. I don't plan on going live on Monday, but I will try to go live on the 28th. And we'll look at volumes to see if they've increased or decreased. I mean, they're definitely going to be higher than what they are now, but I'll be interested to see how long the Southeast is going to remain warm when it comes to the freight. They're warm now in temperature. Just ask Randy. Here's a little picks up today. They are not posting a rate going to Peoria, Illinois. This is a shorty, 381 miles. No posted rate, but you're going to probably want a little bit extra money because this probably won't deliver till Tuesday for 381 miles. And they don't want any Landstar. I've been seeing a lot of that. And Sage, if he's still in here, he told me that was going to happen. And I agreed with him. No Landstar. They do not want co-brokering going on. A lot of non-poster rates for Tuesday, too. You got Brownstown to Orangeburg, Brownstown to Crossville, Tennessee. Axel's not posting a rate on this one either. Here we go. This is the one I would grab if I live in Wisconsin, because that's a little bit higher than what they've been paying to go up into Wisconsin from Michigan. And these market tool rates reflect that. But remember, Wisconsin's been a little bit lower here lately too. But if I lived in Wisconsin, this would be a good load to go home with. It picks up here in a couple hours, an hour and a half. Go pick it up. But I also have freight that does not hit the load board that I can grab out of Wisconsin. So I'd be more apt to do that one if the driver lived there. Now here's a good one, the Wichita. Goddard. This is probably going to be Kroger. Kingsford, Michigan. Doesn't pick up till Thursday or Friday. Yeah, Friday. I'm going to Muskogee this next weekend. You guys know that? I'm actually going to go into that castle thing that y'all pass by on US 69 there. I'm actually going to go in there. All these years of passing that thing, and I've never gone in there. The daughters and I have a road trip planned. So, and I bet you US 69 still has the same bumps and bruises. See, they're down to $1.16 on California is so dead in and out. So let's check that out. Let's go to California and let's see what the outbound rates are. Of course, you're going to get $3 a mile into Colorado, of course, and Oregon. Let's sort this by rate per mile. No, let's sort it by rate. Let's see where the long haul out of California is. Let's see what it's doing. See if it justifies going in there for $1.10 or $1.30, right? Here we go. 219, $6,000 to go to New Jersey. Now, when this container freight pops off, these $6,000 loads become $8,000 and $10,000 loads. That's what happened in the last boom. Let me check with something here real quick, guys. All right, we're back. Let me take care of something here. Do. I might have to get off here because I got a bunch of stuff I got to deal with. I do have a job, so I need to do that. But anyways, let me finish the comments here, and then I'll have to take care of this. Shan's got butter, cinnamon coffee. You spelled biscuits wrong. um, all the new industry is in the South and Midwest. Days of good freight is dead. It's been a downward trend since 2022. I agree with that. If a container freight doesn't go on the rail, well, we may see a bump. Enjoy these sponsor commercials. Regular program will resume shortly. Sterling had made me a video that I can do while I'm getting a phone call, but for some reason I couldn't upload it to StreamYard, so because I'm a loser. Anyways, I'm gonna end it here. Look, try to enjoy your Memorial Day if you're not working. Park your trailer in a safe place. If you're under a load, if you go home under a load, just know that theft is on the rise, and usually Memorial Day is a perfect target. So, we'll see if these rates, remain high. If you're trying to book a load today, you might have some challenges, but just use the gift of discernment. Make sure that the customers are going to be where they need to be, especially if it says it delivers on Monday. All right. And I would avoid trying to book ahead for next week, depending on where you're at. If you're in the Southeast, I'd wait a minute. But there's going to be less leverage if you're trying to book Tuesday or Wednesday, by today, because volumes might allow for some good rates for supply and demand. I'm gonna read this CDN comment. I've been saying since the start of 2025, shippers are looking to brokers and carriers to reduce their supply chain costs due to higher ocean costs. Always look at supply chain, and that is true. And so, anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for your subscriptions and your memberships. And make sure you subscribe to the other channel. 48065 is the code for 123 Lowboard if you want to try it out. And if you're interested in coming to Like Trucking, email dispatch@liketrucking.com. There's a couple of people I need to call that have inquired about Shannon's extra truck, and so I'll try to do that today. So if you're watching, I got a lot of phone calls to make today. So if I don't get to you, shoot me a text, tell me I'm horrible, and then I'll call you. So with that being said, strength for today, over tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Be profitable. And yada, yada, yada. Aggression turns to screws. Later.